Well, coming up on today's show, is there a new generation of Renault Zoe expected for 2019? Why the Lexus boss says that the EV push could be too soon, and the Formula E Championship finally has a champion crowned. But first of all, good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. Hello and welcome to the Sunday, the 15th of July edition of EV News Daily. It's Martyn Lee here with the news you need to know about electric cars and the move towards sustainable transport. Well, yesterday's show, I was talking all about my day at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, where not only did the Polestar 1 make its world debut on track, that was prototype 4, I think, or test vehicle 4 or something they call it, but also I spent some time with the production car itself on the Polestar stand, which funnily enough was round the back of Tesla. And clearly, it lacks some green credentials because it's got a big old 2-litre petrol engine tied to those electric motors, albeit a very respectable 70 miles on pure EV power alone. Well, the Polestar 2 looks like it could be coming. We haven't got to wait too long for it. The Polestar 1, $150,000. If you want to buy one, it's going to be on a 2 or 3 year subscription model they're trying, though, and from what I hear, the whispers are it's all sold out. So if you want a bit of a Polestar brand in your driveway, maybe you need to hang on for the Polestar 2, debuting at the 2019 Geneva Motor Show, as Volvo's new standalone brand delivers an electric saloon car aimed squarely at the Model 3 from Tesla. That says carsuk.net. The Polestar 1 is only Polestar's opening salvo. Every future Polestar will be a pure EV, so no more hybrid power for the Polestar 2, 3 and 4 whenever they do start to come. That's according to Evo. It's going to debut at the 2019 Geneva Motor Show. Polestar say they want to pitch their offerings somewhere between Tesla and Porsche, but the Polestar 2 looks like that's more likely to be a electric saloon built on Volvo's CMA platform, where that underpins the XC40. The price range of this from £35,000 to £50,000. That seems like it's aimed at the moment not on the base Model 3, but certainly by the time you up spec a Model 3, maybe go, well, you have to go long range battery at the moment. Maybe you go performance or dual motor, or both, then you're into Polestar 2 territory. Not that A, we've ever seen it, or B, that's been confirmed. All rumours at the moment. And Evo going further with their report, saying that Polestar will certainly pursue its focus on driving dynamics with the Polestar 2. The company intent on positioning itself as an EV performance car brand that can deliver to customers who aren't excited by the current crop of stylish yet safe Volvos. Now, speaking to Evo magazine at the 2018 Goodwood Festival of Speed, Polestar's Chief Operating Officer, Jonathan Goodman, revealed his intention that Polestar cars will always be great-looking cars that add a dimension as far as Volvo is concerned. They will be pure drivers' cars. We are looking forward to finding out more about their future plans and following a model of another car company that I can think of, starting off with a limited run of very expensive electric cars, and then just starting to go a little bit more towards the mainstream market with Models 2, 3 and 4. Who else did that? Well, Simon at Teslarati has picked out some key quotes from a recent Elon Musk interview with Bloomberg, and this is an interview that, from what I can tell, I was looking at Tom Randall from Bloomberg, his Twitter, and he was in conversation with Ryan McCaffrey from the Ride the Lightning podcast, and they were saying this interview was perhaps an hour long with Elon Musk, and will the unedited audio or even video, maybe, or even a transcript be made available online rather than just the quotes that Bloomberg chose to run? I've seen no outcome either way on that, but I'd love to see it. Well, Simon at Teslarati's picked out some key quotes, like this one. Elon Musk said, "It's been super hard. There is, for sure, some permanent mental scar tissue here, but I do feel good about the months to come. I think the results will speak for themselves. To the best of my judgment, I do not think we have any future bet the company situations. We'll still need to work hard and be vigilant and not be complacent. It's very difficult just to survive as a car company, but it will not be the same level of strain as getting into volume production of Model 3, end quote. And the key phrases there, the first one is not the same level of mental scar tissue. That just sounds so painful, ramping up Model 3, but also the whole bet the company kind of thing. So that would suggest that anything from Model Y to semi-truck to new roadster to Gigafactory 3 in Shanghai, these aren't going to be the such high-risk bet-the-company moves that the Model 3 was. Well, Inc.com, also picking out their highlights of the interview, like this one, I quote, "We were huge idiots," says Elon Musk. "We were huge idiots and didn't know what we were doing." This is referring to the massive production delays resulting from the over-reliance on robots on Tesla's assembly line. Musk and his team made a big bet that automation would help Tesla make more cars in a single month than it had ever made before, only to have the robots repeatedly fail. Flufferbot, RIP, forcing the company to halt the entire production process to fix the problems. It's like you just took all the highways, this says, away from LA. Part of the problem is that just the designing heads were naive about manufacturing, says Elon Musk. Just because we have something that works great in a simulation doesn't mean it works great in reality. And if you haven't heard about Flufferbot, by the way, I know I was joking, but Elon Musk said on the earnings call that they were trying to design this robot that would pick up was basically sound deadening. I think it was kind of, he called it fluff, but maybe it's some sort of material, and the robot had to pick it up, move it over to the battery, and bond it to the battery so when the battery was underneath the car, it would offer some sort of sound deadening protection. And he says that this robot would either drop it too soon, too late, it would bond it in the wrong place, something that a human could do pretty quickly, but they were determined on using robots for it. And actually, in the end, when they tested a car without this thing fitted, it didn't make any difference anyway. They were putting it on thinking it would deaden the noise, the sound, the vibrations or something, but it had no different effect. So fewer robots, more humans, and maybe the robots will make a return at some point with the alien dreadnought factory. Well, moving on to Renault, and there's a fair chance that this fall, aka autumn, we will see the second-generation Renault Zoe at the Paris Motor Show in October, reports Mark Kane for Inside EVs. Mark says that according to French sources, but doesn't say who they are, Renault is retooling the Clio and Zoe factory next month in August. It's going to double the production of the Zoe to 440 cars a day. That's from September onwards. Now, first, Renault intends to introduce the next-gen Clio and expected that that's going to come in 2019. Then, an all-new Zoe will hit the market. Well, the Renault flagship pure battery electric vehicle could be longer and could be bigger. But the battery pack, which is recently updated to 41 kilowatt hours, will stay the same. The electric motor, recently updated, the R110, which fell slightly short of horsepower, 107 horsepower or something, but still called the R110. We're rounding up. We're all friends. Expected to remain the same at the initial launch. The new feature, which everyone's looking forward to on the Renault Zoe next year, will be DC fast charging using CCS combo. Well, on to Lexus and Toyota, really, I guess the parent company. Fully electric car technology is not ready for mass adoption, and nor is the environmental impact fully understood. That's the Lexus president, Yoshihiro Sawa. He says that, according to Jim Holder, who's found this story in Autocar, speaking at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, which he is visiting for the very first time, Yoshihiro Sawa confirmed that the firm, that's Lexus, in conjunction with their parent company Toyota, is working on all types of powertrain, full EV and hydrogen, but said it would not leap into the market until the customer and environmental benefits were clear. He said this: pure EVs currently require long charging time, and batteries that have an environmental impact at manufacturer will degrade as they get older. And then, when cells need replacing, we have to consider plans for future use and recycling. It's a complex issue, much more complex than the current rhetoric perhaps suggests. He says, I prefer to approach the future in a more honest way. If we are looking for the best solution, it is my opinion, the best solution is not only EV. We must consider petrol hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and fuel cell. If we focus on EV only, we will not provide the answers people need. And that is very much clear that Lexus and parent company Toyota are nailing their colours to the mast on hybrids, and in most cases, actually, not plug-in hybrids either. Hybrids that you have to put dinosaur juice in. And when you see the TV ads, they say that they are self-charging electric cars, which is really pushing the definition of self-charging to the very limits. Yeah, they charge mostly from fossil fuels and then a little bit of regen when you come up to a junction or a set of red lights. But anyway, we won't go there. So that's interesting. We knew it anyway, but it's interesting when someone so senior comes out and says something so in favour of hybrids and just not rushing headlong into pure electric vehicles. The only statement there, I guess, I would maybe take issue with is when he says fully electric car technology is not ready for mass adoption. Well, we can see with the largest pre-order in the history of consumption, that would be over 400,000 pre-orders for the Tesla Model 3. How big do you want to get for the word mass adoption to apply? I mean, 500,000 people wanting a certain thing seems pretty mass to me. However, yes, I agree that the majority of people are not waking up today thinking, I'll go down the showroom and buy myself an electric car, because there's many other issues at play. But in terms of mass adoption, and we've heard other car makers say this, the technology isn't there yet, we'll jump on board when the batteries are solid state. That bit is not quite true. The technology and the will is there for mass adoption. Sometimes the will bit is missing from some of these legacy automakers. Well, moving on to electric racing, and Alex from motorsport.com has reported on the Formula E in New York yesterday. Audi's Lucas di Grassi won the first race of the New York Formula E doubleheader on Saturday. Jean-Eric Vergne was crowned champion despite starting from the back of the grid. Congratulations, Jev. Quality driver. And finally, well, Tesla might not be anti-selling the Model 3 now, but they are upselling it. And there's nothing wrong with that, because just about anybody who sells anything upsells it. Well, Elon Musk himself took to Twitter yesterday urging the reservation holders to take the test drive cars, 100 or so of them, I think, already out in US locations, to take the P3D for a test drive, even if those customers weren't planning on going for it. Just the standard long-range battery was what they were going to order. Elon said this, and I quote, "Whether you plan to buy a dual-motor performance Model 3 or not, take it for a test drive anyway. It's like having pure fun jacked straight into your brain whenever you want." Plus, he had news for the upgraded parts as well, and I quote, "Performance version suspension is 1 centimetre lower and has stronger brakes in upgrade package," end quote. And that bit is key to something that they've always talked about, well, Elon's always talked about with the Model 3, and that it is the performance version is track ready. And yeah, the thing about the standard Model 3, with the long-range version, is the brakes. If you're going to hit the track, go for a track day and do 5 or 10 hot laps, that kind of thing, the brakes were perhaps going to let you down a little bit, or if you lean on them really hard. So that's great that with the performance Model 3's upgraded brakes, as we knew anyway, really, and that makes it a much more rounded package. A couple of comments I want to get to today from the various tweets and kind of community things that have been coming in on the YouTube comments and replies to Twitter as well. Thank you so much for this. You can email the show directly if you want to. My email address is hello@evnewsdaily.com. That's hello@evnewsdaily.com. Well, I was talking on yesterday's programme about my first experience of the Model 3 in Europe, because Tesla bought one to the Goodwood Festival of Speed, the first official Model 3, albeit US spec in this country. And Kent Oland replied and said, did it have the Tesla US charging port or Type 2? And before I could reply, one of the friends of the podcast, Mark Garnett, said this: it was sealed, but it's US style. It was a US spec car they bought over. I'm hoping, says Mark, I'm still hoping for Type 2 plus CCS. After all, the space is big enough inside the charge port flap on the Model 3. Thank you, Mark, for getting in there. Hi to, on Twitter, the user Froth and Java says, I love how the Polestar stand had their pavilion right next door to Tesla. Yes, if you were being generous, you could say next door. If you were being cruel, you'd say they were tucked behind. The first thing you saw as you walked up to it was a big Tesla stand and then Polestar behind. And this is the thing, this is the kind of interesting thing. The queue got so long for people to queue up and just spend, because you were limited to 2 minutes with the Model 3. The queue was getting so long at one point, I thought, is that just going to go round? Because it was already heading round the Tesla stand, and if it had maybe another 20 people in the queue, they'd be queuing past the Polestar stand to get to the Model 3. I'm not sure that ever happened, but that would have been a bit interesting to see. And finally, hi to Electron Nut on Twitter, who forwarded me a little article from the Twitter user at War with the Dinosaurs. And the article says that Servco Pacific has opened Hawaii's first publicly accessible hydrogen station. Fuel is produced on site by electrolyzing water using grid and solar, producing 20 kilograms of hydrogen per day, with 100 k's of storage, enough for about 12 vehicle fill-ups. Fascinating that hydrogen technology is making its little baby steps way forwards as well. And funny as well that Toyota and Lexus, we heard earlier on the podcast, actually, only 10 minutes ago, talking about how they're developing fuel cell technology because they don't think that EVs are ready for the mainstream. Well, here is a hydrogen filling station that can fill 12 cars and then it's out of hydrogen. 12 cars. And we talk about certain things not being ready for the mass market. Yeah, hydrogen in personal transport. It's a terrible idea. Hydrogen in public transport, hydrogen in commercial vehicles, hydrogen in trains and boats. It's a wonderful idea. You've got somewhere to store it, and you've got a much bigger need for that stored energy. Hydrogen in personal cars is an awful idea. But maybe I can be proven wrong. If you have a good argument to why hydrogen and fuel cell cars are way better than EVs, an established technology you would say EVs are these days, then let me know in the comments section or email hello@evnewsdaily.com and tell me I'm wrong. Or comment on any of today's stories if you want to. Feel free to jump in with the news of the Polestar 2 taking on the Model 3, Elon talking to Bloomberg, the next-gen Renault Zoe. If you want to talk about the Lexus boss or the Jev winning Formula E, or maybe the new Formula E car that's coming, the Batman car, at the start of next season, then join in with those comments. I'll read them out tomorrow. In the meantime, if you want to download any of the previous 118 news episodes, they're all on the podcast, iTunes and Google Play and Spotify and YouTube and TuneIn and Stitcher and the blog at evnewsdaily.com. If you can leave a little rate and review on whatever website you download it on, that'd be amazing. And if you want to say hi on the socials, search evnewsdaily.com or just EV News Daily. Apologies, that was the website. Have a wonderful rest of Sunday, and I'll catch you tomorrow.